Today we're going to talk about apples. The UK apple season has begun and we're going to sell UK apples all the way through to maybe February, March when the stores run out. The varieties are going to change weekly or monthly depending what is best and what's coming through. I've got some discovery apples at the moment. You can eat these apples raw. That's how most people are going to approach them. So they needn't be cooked. They're not cooking apples at all. They're what people would term dessert or table apples. I'm going to show you 3 straightforward ideas. Instead of doing the obvious dessert, I'm actually going to do a breakfast. So it's going to be 3 component parts that come together for a breakfast, but each one of those parts can be used separately as well. The base of this breakfast is going to be some Bircher oats, sometimes called overnight oats. They are oats that are just soaked in milk, left to plump up and soften overnight, and you end up with a kind of cold, fruity porridge. Now, traditionally, grated apple is added, gives it a little bit of sweetness and a little bit of tartness. You've just got to get it ready the night before, leave it overnight, take it straight out of the fridge first thing in the morning. If you forget to soak it overnight, you can probably get away with soaking it for half an hour or so, although the texture won't be quite as soft. So that's going to be the base for our breakfast. All you do is you take an apple and you just get yourself a coarse grater and just grate around the core. Okay, we're going to add a little squeeze of lemon into there as well. This adds a little bit more sharpness, but also stops the apple from browning too much. Now I'm going to add about 100 grams of oats to this. This should be about enough for 2 people. Traditionally it's made with milk, but actually I really like making it with almond milk. I quite like the nuttiness of the flavour. So we're going to add about 325 mils of that. Now you can always change the consistency when you get it out of the fridge in the morning if it feels too thick. Give that a good stir, and then that just goes into the fridge overnight. Meanwhile, I'm going to show you 2 apple accompaniments to go with it. They're standalone recipes in and of themselves, and the first one is my take on an apple sauce. Traditionally, what you would do with an apple sauce is you would peel and chop those apples, put them into a pan with a little bit of water and some sugar, and you'll get a fair apple sauce. Now, this method gives you a much better colour and a much more intense flavour, and it's very, very straightforward. We're going to core those apples. We're going to pop them into the roasting tray, put them in an oven at 200 degrees C and bake them for 25 to 30 minutes. Now it feels counterintuitive to not put any oil or any seasoning or sugar on them. What happens is they blister and burn and collapse in the oven. So the apples are out of the oven, they've had about half an hour or so, and in any other scenario this would look like everything's gone terribly wrong, but it's exactly what you want. So the skins are slightly coloured and broken open, but the flesh of the apple is really soft, so you can squeeze them with the tongs and the apples are soft. So all we're going to do is take those whole apples and we're going to put them straight into a blender or a food processor, and we're going to whiz them into a puree. You can see that the apple is blended down into a puree now, and as it's blended, you can see that the skin has kind of stained the puree kind of rose red. This blender hasn't really got the oomph to break down all of that skin. So what we're going to do is we're going to pass it through a fine sieve, just like a standard kitchen sieve. Then we're going to use a spatula, or you could use the back of a ladle, and we're going to press that through the sieve, and it's just going to remove any tough bits of skin that are left in there. Now it feels like a bit of a process, but it doesn't take long to do, and it will give you a perfectly smooth apple sauce. Okay, so now we're left with this beautiful blush red, perfectly smooth puree. I think that tastes perfect just as it is. But if you wanted to increase the sweetness in there, you needn't add sugar or honey or maple syrup into it. Actually, if you wanted to lift the sweetness just a little bit, there is a trick whereby you add a tiny little pinch of salt. Now that salt is small enough pinch for it to not become savoury, but just enough to amplify the flavour and increase the sweetness. It's quite a good trick. If your apples are overly sweet and you want to add a little bit of sharpness, just add a little bit of lemon juice to it. And I quite often add a little bit of spice to the mix if I want some warmth to it. So either a bit of cinnamon, or I'm going to add a tiny little bit of allspice to it, and then that's it. I'm going to mix that together, and that's perfect to go straight on top of the Bircher. Finally, I'm going to do honeyed apples. All I need to do, I'm going to take 2 apples, take the cores out and cut each one into 12 wedges. We're going to throw them into the pan with about 1.5 tablespoons of butter, and we're going to cook that over a gentle to medium heat for about 8 to 10 minutes. Now we want the apples to soften but not turn into a mush, and we don't want that butter to burn in the pan, so instead of a kind of hissing fry in the pan, we just want a slight sizzle, and we're going to turn it every so often so it's cooked evenly on each side, and it's just as they're becoming soft that we're going to add the honey. About 2 tablespoons, and we cook that honey for 4 to 5 minutes until it starts to kind of look like a caramel, so the honey's not burning but the apples are coated in a kind of sticky honey sauce. Okay, so these apples are ready. They're nice and golden, they've just gone soft, and we are going to serve them directly. We're going to serve them warm. Now you could add a bit of spice, maybe some cinnamon to this, but since we've spiced the puree, we're going to leave them as they are, and also it depends on how fragrant your honey is as well. Now I'm going to plate up, so I'm just going to take half the Bircher, pop it into a bowl. Now if you want the Bircher looser than this, you can add a bit more milk. There's no harm in that. Then we're going to put a blob of puree on top, and then we're going to add a generous amount of honeyed apples. And because everything's generally quite soft and sweet in this dish, I'm just going to put some toasted and skinned hazelnuts on top just for a little bit of crunch. You could use walnuts or pecans or pistachios as well. So that is Bircher oats with spiced apple puree, honeyed apples and toasted hazelnuts. Thanks for watching. If there's anything you'd like to see us cook or talk about, please leave some comments below. Please click share and like and hit the notification bell to keep up with our weekly videos.